and privileged to present Mr. Kapil Dev, who's a famous orator, writer, director, and I mean, he wears many hats. I mean, the CV that you sent me was so amazing that in this short time, I mean, the more know of him, the more I talk about him, the less I know. So, in these few minutes, on behalf of Zena and Mr. Rajiv Anand, I took the opportunity of composing a small poem dedicated to Mr. Kapil Dev.
Oh,
Please allow
honored.
me to share it if it's possible, sir.
Honored, sir, please.
Okay, sir. So it says, uh, sir, you are a star. You were born to legendary parents. And it says, twinkle, twinkle, little star, who blazed a trail near and far. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, who blazed a trail near and far. He did not stop, nor did he drop. He did not stop, nor did he drop. He had a tour from school to college. His popularity was on rampage. His love for mankind made him one of the kind. His love for mankind made him one of the kind. No one could see the depth of his mind. He only left behind, he only left beautiful memories behind. A close shave with a revered Dev. We know him as Kapil Dev. The more we speak of him, the less we know. I invite Kapil Dev over to take over the reins of the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Sir,
Very
it
honored.
was composed in a matter of few minutes, so if
Thank
please
you.
excuse me
In
for
fact,
the mistakes
uh,
I may have made, but there's so much to say, and this I just couldn't. No, the
honor.
less I, more I speak, the more I mean, I feel I'm doing you injustice.
Thank
So
you so much, sir. Thank you.
you're most welcome, sir. So may I welcome you to the show on behalf of Zena,
Thank you.
and
Honored.
I thank you so much for taking time off on this day during the
Thank
festive
you.
season of
Thank you.
Diwali Dashera to be with us. So
Thank
may I
you.
request you to, sir, begin the proceedings on how we will.
Thank you.
Uh,
So, thank you for the wonderful introduction, Ali, sir. And we were today, before beginning the show, I had a call to Rajiv Bhai and say, every time I get to host the show, and is there somebody who's going to, no, he said, no, there's somebody who's going to host for you, he's going to ask some questions about. So it's all the time that I am on this seat and people on the other seat. Those little jittery moments I had, I was just consuming the idea that and this time I'm on this side of the seat. So I can exactly feel how people keep saying, couple, it's not easy to be on the other side of the seat.
yes, sir.
So thank you, sir. I'm very honored. And Zena is a family. You are a family. The whole world is family. And in the words of Lord Krishna, it says, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. We believe in world is one and earth is one and you're one nature, one people. We all here to do good to the world. And as much as I can contribute as a human being doing good, I'm always there. So, Rajiv Bhai, a week back, I was actually traveling to Bengaluru on exactly, I think it's the same day, a week back, Wednesday or Thursday, he called me up and said, brother, I want you to do a show. I said, okay, maybe he's asking me to do a show, host a show. I said, I'm always there to host a show. No, no, no. You are going to be speaking. It's like, you're going to be speaking. Okay, this time it's interesting. I'm going to be speaking. Okay, what do I speak? No, say whatever you feel like, what you did all these years. I said, that's a huge thing to speak, Rajiv Bhai. All my 41 years of my life, I've been doing so much. What do I speak about? No, speak something. You speak everything well. So you speak one thing. So I chose a certain topic of what made me Kapil Dev. Um, and the path already paved. and he agreed with that, and I chose to prepare on it. And it's been a week since it's been running in my mind as to you always get to prepare when you get to go to speak something, or get to host or get to do a program or direct. There's a lot of creative jinx that you have that you have to express it. So likewise, how do I begin? I liked the introduction that Sir gave. I was born in a medical fraternity family. My dad is a renowned doctor, a well-renowned practitioner. He runs his own medical healthcare unit. My mom is an educationist. She started off from a kindergarten teacher, establishing a school education institution. Now she's running a construction company herself. So yeah, two eldest siblings, both of them who are very successful doctors. One of them is a dentist, another one is an infertility specialist. Both of them, either of them, married to doctors and with beautiful families. And I'm the odd man out. I paved my own path. So childhood has always been that way. Dad being a doctor, coming from a lower middle class family. My grandfather was serving as a peon in the South Central Railways. So education was the foremost and the forefront of importance, because he had his own struggle, and education was his way to become economically rich, or socially rich, or financially rich, or taking a ground in the society. So he's always put those values. Both mom and dad have always put those values of good education, discipline, good eating habits, working habits, and always be participating in things. So whenever there's an opportunity that we have had, and mom and dad have always been very kind and gentle and benevolent, say, okay, mom, I have some like a running race competition in school, do I participate? Go ahead, please participate. It's not like winning or losing, but at least participation will get you somewhere, will make you understand you something. So parents have been very, very supportive throughout my life, with either of all three of our siblings, and they've been very. The way they've brought us up has been so magnanimous. I wish I could show my office premises here in Hyderabad. It's just locked with so many books, books all the time. So books. Likewise, I've been trained in some form of Kuchipudi, because my mom also is a Kuchipudi exponent. So I could learn a bit of Kuchipudi from her. Some kind of music, Carnatic music also came into this at home, because we had a Carnatic music teacher coming to house to teach us Carnatic music. So these are things which probably make a person. I don't know if others agree, but this is what made me who I am right now. This early childhood trainings that we have had in music, dance, education, and public meetings, and being in the medical fraternity, brought up in the medical fraternity, doing service to humanity, attending the medical camps, going out with dad and mom, and doing a lot of service, charitable organizations, charitable work, giving whatever we can to people who want us to be there for us, pave the path. Interestingly, the topic that I chose, a path paved, came in 1998, when we had a tough situation at our home, where we had it by that time, born low middle class, then became upper middle class. Dad established his own medical unit, big one, 30-bedded hospital back then, in the late 80s, and then a financial institution established by dad in an NBFC. Then we had a school also, a primary school run by mom, and several other investments in some other companies, chit funds and real estate companies. So all probably doesn't go well, which time has to answer and tell everything. So we had dad had a severe fatal accident during that phase of my life, and I was only 14, giving my 10 board examinations. And then it was tough since then. We had whatever that we have built, I've seen it losing as well. We lost a financial institution. We lost a school, which mom established. So did a lot of the bank loans, and the debts keep cropping up when such things happen. The only thing that could be hung on to is our healthcare unit. The price of the land and price of the gift that stayed back with us. It gave us the food, fodder, rain, respect, everything in the society. So that movement, the situation, I was very young, 14 probably, dad was not well. He had his own surgeries to handle on his body, financially not doing well for several years. So, when as a young boy, you see these things, you probably get a lot of, you have certain thing that goes into your head, certain thing that goes into your eyes, that certain thing that goes into your stomach, that appetite that you need to do something for your family always comes around. And I don't know, I've never had somebody to guide me that particular time. I wish I had somebody, but maybe that's how nature made me who I am. And it just said, okay, with a gut feeling, the day when my dad he was in the hospital visiting. I was visiting, me and my sister visiting him when he was brought back from the scene of the accident. And I was just something that just went into my head that my life is not going to be the same, and I'm not going to be the richest son, and my life will be something different. Something struck in my head, maybe the nature or the God calling me, or the universe telling something in my head at that point of my time. I don't know. I feel it that way now after seeing my journey that has evolved in the last 25 years. Something just struck me in that head looking at my dad is, I have to be the man for my house. And I was only 14. I don't know how, I don't know where. I was naive. I would never get into arguments with people, but sometimes something that's just hit my head that I need to create my own destiny. That at 14 I found my ears lobbing in with that kind of speech from God or something. And since then it's been that journey. And the first tries I took is to take a job, because maybe I felt that some contribution of money would help my family. So I did my bit. I started working for All India Radio as a radio jockey. My first set of payment was about 120, 125 rupees per show, which was quite a lot. And eventually, I think I was 14 when I got my first paycheck. I gave to my mom, said, you can use it. She laughed and said, okay, thank you very much. Probably she used or not used, I don't know, but I gave my first DD to my mom. And somehow I could earn about 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees per annum back in 98, 99 as a student, winning several competitions. I would go to competitions just to win the cash prize, just to be sufficient. There was it could be a cash prize of 100 rupees, 150, 200, whatever. It is something that probably I felt I could be a bit of a contribution to my family with the tough situation that we were running through that time. And whatever I could win or get, I would all come back home and just give it to my mom, because she's the one who's brought us up, and she's been very sweet and kind. And it has been that way. And from radio, engineering college, you have the passion of working out and gymming. So somebody looked at me in one of those grounds that I was working out. I had a habit of working up in the morning to go for a jog back then. So somebody said and say, you look good, why don't you start modeling? So, and at about 18 years, I had an opportunity to start modeling. I was a skinny lad, tall lad, 5'11", 5'10", 5'11", a good frame. So I started modeling at 18, which gave me some money, at least maybe for one program. Probably one shoot would get me about 400, 500 rupees. Back then was a big money. 400, 500 was also very big money. So I've been quite well sufficient from the age of 14, 15, earning money for myself, probably contributing something to the family. And eventually I picked up, during my engineering college, I picked up a job, in a corporate institution, because I mastered language of English. So, I did through a lot of multiple things. 24 hours was not enough for me. I wanted to work, pay back all the loans for my family, be a man for the house, take care of mom, dad, all these things. It sounds very stupid of me in my head now. Maybe it just happened that I had to do these things. Then I worked for corporates for 3 years during my engineering college time, and I had a credible experience working for corporates. Served it as the South head for one of the consulting companies. also modeling, also doing radio, also doing hosting on the stage, also doing a job, and also going to the college. So these are all things which I ended up doing. And yeah, and when 21, 22, I established my own business network consulting company, modeling agency, and I established a production house. That's how I became a entrepreneur. I became a producer. I became, self-sufficient, and yeah, and 2005 when I began my enterprise, I told myself that one day in Tamil we say Orunal, that say one day I will be a billionaire. It just that instinct that I had in my head that time, and that instinct still flows in my stomach. I still have the appetite. I still have the drive. I still have the zest. Something in me doesn't allow me to sleep even now, and I like continually doing something, reinventing myself, recreating, doing something bigger for humanity. And in the same journey, what I observed, learning the procedures from my parents, whatever way I could contribute to the family, I'm always doing it at the best of my abilities and the best of my service, and being very honest. Integrity and honesty has always been the most important thing in my life. Not cheating anybody or not knowingly or unknowingly hurting somebody, which values which I learned from my parents. So these are things which are subconsciously in my head. So somebody who always asks for it, but I don't know, I can't say no. Maybe now, off late, I've started to say these words no, but that hurts because when if you're brought up a certain way, you can't change yourself, yeah. And now I have done almost 1,000 shows on stage, television, dubbing, for several brands with my voice, more than 1,000 in fact. And particularly in the last 7 years, and I set up my own television network. It was one of those icing on the cake, and I said, and that day, my dad, I could see the glitter in my dad's eyes. That every son wants that moment coming in from their father, and I could see my father's eyes glowing that my son has made it. So yeah, now I run my own digital media television enterprise, YouTube channels. I keep producing a lot of content, music content, music videos. Occasionally, when I get to want to host a show in Hyderabad, anywhere people invite me, I get to show it, and I've become a name and a mark in itself in the city and on the national level, having done several shows in Hindi, Telugu, Tamil, and English languages, the languages I know to speak and speak at least. So yeah, that's I like, this is my dream. Hollywood is here.
Yeah.
So so the globe is here. So those two things always even entice me, keeps me going, keeps me driving. These are the principles which I carry in my life. Yeah.
No, it's a wonderful, I mean, your narration is absolutely amazing, sir. And what
Thank
I
you.
think we have in common is the AIR. I was also a staff artist in AIR.
Wow.
That was back in, I
Wow.
think, 98, 99. I was in the monitoring services for Chinese language.
Wow.
So
Interesting.
it was again, I'd come
Good
from a place
platform.
called Srinagar, where I had a business,
Wow.
and everything was lost. So I had to
Mm.
rebuild.
Right.
And rebuilding is, something. It's tedious. It's
True.
kind of heartbreaking, but it makes you stronger. And
True.
actually, I'd gone to, you see, the blessings of the Almighty as such. I'd gone to AIR to ask the director to take my friend in for a job. And the director called me. He says, "What have you done?" I said, "I've done this." He's done Russian. So he said, "नहीं, तुम बैठो यहाँ पे."
Mm.
I said, "I don't remember." He said, "No, no, you take classes, extra classes,
Mm.
but you have to be here." So that's
Right.
how the journey started, and then it was. But sir, amazing. I mean,
Thank you.
you were born in erstwhile Andhra Pradesh.
Right. Exactly. Now Telangana is its own state. Yeah.
It's a wonderful state. Have my not links. I have a very close relationship with this beautiful state before it became Telangana, right from '76 when the first cyclone took
Oh
place,
wow. Oh
and it was I was in JNU at that time, and I
yeah.
went as a part of the rescue and team with the Gandhi Peace
Mm,
Foundation. I
mm.
had a chance to see Guntur, Warangal, and Bapatla, Chirala, all these beautiful places, which,
Wonderful,
I mean,
wonderful. Yeah, it's quite a
um,
scenic place.
yes. And then it was a very warm relationship. I mean, it was heartbreaking seeing the people like this, that. And then I also had the privilege of visiting a place called Avanigadda.
Okay.
I forget it's somewhere near Vishakhapatnam, Vizag.
Mm.
So it's
That's
on
the
the Bay of Bengal.
extreme
Yes, yes.
coastal side.
Uh, it was a heartbreaking, experience. Disposing of bodies, this and that. But anyhow, we learned that humans are vulnerable and at the mercy of nature, and that nature must be respected in all
Respected.
aspects, all aspects. And as you said that you've been multitasking, multi-talented in you started with modeling, which must have
Yes.
been I mean, it's a challenge. It's not easy walking on the ramp and facing so many people who, as you said, 15 or 16, you started that 18, huh?
18.
And then you went into, you have an excellent voice, no doubt.
Thank you.
So you went into voiceover and you started, acting this and that. I think Telangana, or as well Andhra Pradesh, had a very large film industry.
It is.
And
It is an influencer. It is an influence
uh,
for sure.
yes, sir.
Um, Subconsciously, maybe I had this thing because my dad, coincidentally, was also producing
Mm,
Doordarshan shows when I was very young. So he used to take me to Doordarshan studios where he was a guest, and we had a lot of shoots which used to happen in our uh, hospital building.
mhm,
So he had a lot of connections with film industry.
mhm,
So maybe the glam was always in subconsciously built. But my dad hoped that I become a doctor and take up the legacy of running the hospital and the healthcare organization, which he built up with great pain and great effort.
mhm,
But yeah, even when I first took my 11th and 12th grade, my first course was maths,
mhm,
biology, physics, and chemistry eventually.
mhm,
But he said, either you choose being a doctor or you choose an engineer. I don't like you to put, दो पेड़ दो पा चीजों में मत लगाओ तुम.
mhm.
So yeah, I was quite interested. If I could have given both the entrances, probably I would have cracked both of them with the kind of person that I was back then. But uh, yeah, my sisters have filled in his shoes, but he keeps saying even now that had you become a doctor, we would have made this even bigger thing. So it's maybe just had to happen that I keep saying that if you all have become an actor.
Mhm.
So there's an R in the house. You're all doctors, and I'm an actor. So I'm filling that space. In fact, a lot of these successful doctors' children do become actors. If you see Priyanka Chopra, you
Mhm.
see Randeep Huda, most of these
Mhm.
likes of these people, and even Shatrughan Sinha's parents
Mhm.
are both doctors. So
Mhm.
there's something about doctors' families that make you very strong as an individual. And as an actor or a producer or as a writer or a director, you have to be very strong individual because we
Excellent,
get to
absolutely.
and we get to
You see,
see people, observe people, so many people walking our doors and walking to our step.
yes, sir.
There's always a sense that there is a magnanimity and the broad perspective generates and this profession needs very broad perspective. A creative
Mhm.
profession needs to be very broad, and
Yes,
that
yes.
perspective comes from upbringing only.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
maybe that medical fraternity upbringing that I had has opened my mind, the broad mindset that I've gotten because of the upbringing I've had, and thanks to the upbringing and thanks to the professions that my mom and dad have enjoyed, the perspectiveness I have about society is very, very, very large. I know these, when you start growing up in life, you stay, there's a saying that when you keep achieving something, you become lonely in life, when you keep getting steps. But maybe if you're a destiny's child, you will be that alone. If you're on Mount Everest, you want to go there, you have to achieve something, you'll be alone there, but you'll be
Yes.
achieving and you'll be achieving there. So I always believed that, I was born with a greater purpose. Maybe that's how my name comes as Kapil Dev, because it matches with the Indian cricket team winning the first World Cup in '83. So, subconsciously it's always there. I'm a destiny's child.
Yes, absolutely. And the teamwork that you do.
and,
Teamwork.
and coincidentally, uh, my nephew, my elder sister's son, was born during the process of India winning the second World Cup.
Oh, that's lovely. That's
So
absolutely
I have named him Yuvraj after Yuvraj Singh when he was born.
okay, okay.
That was a pet name that we addressed. We called him Yuvraj, and constantly Yuvraj Singh became the man of the match, man of the series for
Oh,
the
yes, he
World Cup.
did. He did. He
And I
did.
keep saying to everybody that our family is very lucky for India. We could win the World
It
Cups
is.
with.
No, I think
So yeah,
we'll script history again in a few
mm.
days.
Like you
God
see
willing.
at the backdrop, my father's picture is there, the person I value the most. And
Yeah.
yeah. So it's always, that's the first thing I do in the morning is to take the blessings of both of my parents to start my work with in a traditional way. And then my work begins that way. So,
And sir, are you located in Hyderabad? Which part of Hyderabad?
Hyderabad, my family is based here in Secunderabad.
Okay. So,
Secunderabad,
okay.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's changed so much from 77 onwards, where
it is, sir.
our train used to stop at Nampally. We had this,
Mm.
like, whatever that.
The radio
I,
station was in Nampally located, and
yes.
now, interestingly, Hyderabad is a destination for creative people now,
Yes.
particularly with so many studios that we have in city,
Yes.
and
Yes.
the media, the television industry,
Yeah.
and the or the event industries at its peak. Of course, Bombay taking the first lot of numbers because the talent that goes into Bombay is the first lot.
Oh, yes.
Hyderabad is economically viable and it's quite centrally located. People get to
Mhm.
speak all the languages. People can speak Hindi, people can speak Urdu, people can speak English, people can also speak the local native language of Telugu. So language is not a barrier. If you
Mhm.
see the evaluation of any ecosystem, I
Mhm.
always take an example of Oprah Winfrey, who has been my inspiration for
Mhm.
many, many years that I watched the show and evolved and how she built up an Oprah Winfrey network. It is
Mhm.
the ecosystem that matters a lot for a person to be successful.
Absolutely.
If if today I am able to speak to a platform of legendaries and legends such like Zena, it is the ecosystem I've been brought up with. Okay, had I not had a parents like what I've had, I would have not probably been in the ecosystem. Had I not had the initial education which I've had, I would not been a part of the ecosystem. So all these things matter a lot to human being. And a city like Hyderabad, which acknowledges talent, which acknowledges art, which acknowledges culture, which acknowledges things. You need places like such like this, which acknowledges creativity. Okay, so of course people choose to go to bigger places to make bigger money, but there always has to be a start somewhere.
Mhm.
And in that way, I've been very, very lucky and blessed. I've been born in a city like Hyderabad, which is very conducive for creative people and creative arts. Movies are loved by people here. TV shows are loved by people here. Events are loved by people here. Even probably a show like this will be viewed by a lot of people. So there are a lot of eyeballs that people like to view. There's a lot of viewing culture in our city, which makes you who you are. So I have a lot of respect for the city, and since being born in the city, brought up in the city, there's an ecosystem. There's a lot of love in the city that comes to you,
Mhm.
unconditional love. People give time to you. You don't have to look at your clock to visit somebody, like
Yes,
in
yes, yes.
probably other places like, and people are not that commercial out here, you know.
No,
We call it
I
we call it
yes,
Bindas Hyderabadi.
yes, yes. About 4 years back, I was in conversation with Ronak, if you know Ronak.
Ronak Yad Khan, yes, yeah.
Uh, uh, I woke him up at about 9:30, 10. I
Hmm.
called him. So my friend said, "Why did you disturb his peace?" I said, "Look, I get up at 5, 5:30, 6:30." He says,
Hmm.
"Please don't call him before 11 o'clock." So
Yeah,
that's what,
that's a Nawabi thing.
yeah, no, everything. So
Hmm.
anyhow, Ronak answered my call and then he gave me a talk on various things, but we couldn't meet, unfortunately. And because I was hustling between Hyderabad and Hospet. I
Hmm.
had my corporate training classes at this place, Baldota Mines.
Okay,
Uh,
right.
so it was. So I was busy, and then he got busy, and then he was to become the Nizam, I believe,
Hmm.
and he is the Nizam now, de
Recently
facto
heard, I've
Nizam.
not met him for some time, but yeah, I did hear about it.
I
Yeah.
don't know whether he's still in Hyderabad or he's
Hmm.
in Australia or where or in England.
Yeah, he's a nice human being, and whenever we get to meet, we just
He's a
exchange
very
pleasantries.
lovable
Hmm.
person, very lovable, very
Lovely.
fine person. And he also told me that he came to Delhi and where he used to work as a traffic policeman. Yeah, he was very humble. I mean, he admitted that. Besides all these,
Yeah, he's
you
very,
know,
he's quite humble
fine
person.
trappings, he says I should teach how people how to divert traffic and stand at the road and say idhar jao, udhar jao. I said, Ronak, you're a great guy. Yeah, you should become a
So
politician.
actually, I would come back to this thing about being humble. You know,
Uh-huh.
see, like if you see, observe a lot of great personalities in the world. Okay, they are
Yeah.
very humble human beings. Okay,
Oh yes.
you know, uh, there's no air about them. They do their own work. They probably will
Mm-hmm.
wash their own car. They
Mm-hmm.
won't depend on people around them to take them somewhere. And there's no air. I mean, humility, as you say,
Mm-hmm.
humility, and that's something that you need to put in your DNA. I think
Mm-hmm.
and I've also being in the industry. I've also seen people attaining success and falling too. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
they've gone to the level that they have to. They also fell down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Humility plays a huge role, sir. Like end of the day, we all have to come back to home and eat the same plate. You don't probably have an extra pie on your plate, right? The same thing
Yes,
that you've
yes.
been eating food. So whenever I finish a show, I always have this habit after finishing a show, I sleep on the floor, down on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, that's down to
The,
earth.
that ground, yeah, it just keeps me grounded. I don't. Maybe that's what kept me going. These are things which I probably have learned from my parents or from my grandparents. That humility and humbleness. And in some of these ways, I always say to myself,
Uh-huh.
huge thing. Okay. What coming so far, it's such a huge thing, becoming what I have become, uh, being viewed by
Yes.
30,000 people on the network, of being nationally recognized and doing shows, 1,000 shows, or having my own talk show on TV, or having my own office in itself, or own car in itself, own home in itself. It's just such a blessing. It's just a blessing. It's just a
Mm.
blessing. So why should you? I live that moment, and anything that comes to me is also all a blessing. You know,
Mm.
whatever nature wants to give me, it will give me. If it doesn't want to give
Mm.
me, it doesn't give me. Why should we crib about it? Why should we stouch about it? Or uh, I don't like those things. I mean, whatever that's coming our way, it will come eventually. It will come.
Yes,
You just
there's
have
a
to be
song.
open.
Yes,
Hmm.
there's a Hindi song which I must share with you. जो मिल गया उसे नसीब समझ लिया, जो मिल गया उसे नसीब समझ लिया, जो खो गया उसे भुला के चला गया. If you've seen
Wow.
that movie हम दोनों,
Uh, I'll watch
so
it
that is
also.
that is that is a beautiful song on life, and that is what you depicted so beautifully.
Hmm.
Unity and the art of giving up, the art of giving, and the art of forgetting, and the art of forgiving also. You know, not leaving any vestiges behind, not leaving any bitter memories. That's but I just wanted to ask you something, Mr.
Sure.
Peel, is that uh, there's Andhra, I still call it Andhra, I don't know why. Telangana has a very rich movie culture, known as, I think it's far richer than the one in Tamil
Tollywood.
Nadu, Bollywood. Bollywood and
Tollywood.
Tollywood also. Tollywood
Tollywood.
also has, they make films with so much of depth. Hmm. I mean, I think you have this lady, Wahida Rahman from Hyderabad,
She's from Vijayawada. Vijayawada.
Vijayawada, okay, then us, and Tabu.
Tabu is from here. Farah is from Hyderabad.
Uh-huh. And I mean, they speak in all kinds of languages. They know Marathi, they know Telugu, they know Hindi, and they know Urdu. So that's what, and the stories that they've depicted about various films in which they've acted has been
Right.
extremely meaningful, extremely, you know, it's sort of been educative, very educative, extremely educative. And also the Telugu films have been a source of inspiration to Bollywood as far as
Right.
dances are concerned, as far as the gyration and the movement of the body, because I think the Bombay films had one, two steps, two, three steps like that. But the steps and the movement in
Yeah.
uh, Telangana or the Andhra Pradesh is absolutely, I would say it's very creative, extremely creative. And
So
the rhythm,
here,
rhythm of the music.
here there are two forms of dance forms. One is, of course, Kuchipudi, which is the more cultural form of dance,
Yes, yes.
which comes from Yakshagana. Okay,
Uh-huh.
it's derived from Yakshagana Kuchipudi dance, which is
Uh-huh.
a native of Telugu-speaking people. Telugu-speaking
Uh,
people. I mean, when you go to
uh-huh.
Tamil Nadu, it's Bharatanatyam. When you go to Kerala, it is Mohini Attam. When you go to Orissa, it is
Uh,
Odissi. So Yakshagana is a dance form which is Kuchipudi is derived from this dance form. It's more cultural dance form. Then you also have something called as Janapadam, which is like the native of the village folk dance. And there's something called as Penu Nutyam. So every district in around the Telugu speaking states have their own dance forms to showcase. This particular dance form is primarily a dance form which is engaging yourself to the deity, culture of deity. There's a deity culture here. We worship goddess. So it is a way of worshipping goddess is through music, which is created by the natural musics, because most of the people are coming from the village or the forest and all these regions which are very agricultural regions. So people picked up this forms of music or dance or even some cultural hymns, and wherein because probably those days you didn't have television or radio or YouTube to engage yourself, so people had to engage themselves. So music and dance has always been of that importance to people to engage and keep their minds free and active. And also, if I can understand, cinema as a form has been a greatest form in revolutions, particularly in the independence movement. Cinema formed as a art form to unite
yes,
people.
yes, yes,
All
yes.
right. So that's why the Indian people are so connected with cinema, because cinema was something which used to, it's like you see movies like Mother India, all right? You
Uh-huh.
see many of the Ma Bhumi, like which movie which happened in Telugu.
Uh-huh.
They are movies which goes back to the roots of people, tells you
Yes.
where you belong to whom you belong to, and whom are you fighting the system for. So
Uh-huh.
cinema has, of course, now it has evolved as an entertaining form, but cinema as a whole is an art form, primarily an art
Yes.
form where telling the people what are they fighting for, where do they belong to, and they're fighting for their rights and virtues and against the oppression, against the suppression. These things would, the stage and cinema have always been that way. I have looked cinema that way. Is my cinema has always should be more of an educative thing than an entertaining thing. You know, for me, when I'm doing a show, okay, as a form, I always look at it as a form that I should send some message to people with my program, with my show, something that people can take back to. Entertainment is good, fair and fine. There are other ways to get entertained too, but cinema, for me, is more of a form of spreading the message, spreading the message. So that way, Telugu cinema or even Southern cinema, for that matter, have been. If you see the movie called as Jaibi, which come recently, last where Surya was acting, a beautiful movie, conveyed the message. Okay. Of course, RRR had a team. It had a team of pre-independence, how people come together and fighting the British. So mostly, if you see the Southern cinema, have always been close to the independence movement. And cinema was a driving factor for people to bring towards fighting against the British or the oppression, or the suppression, or any of the objective rules that have happened. So cinema has always been that way to be looked at. And that's why a lot of writers who are from influential families chose cinema to be a forum to express themselves. Okay. I have also chosen cinema as a forum to express myself. I have chosen, So cinema is a forum, so it's a forum to express yourself. And southern part of India are a little more on the education side. Primarily, education is given at the highest importance. So when you're well-read, you always have a voice running in your head. And that voice has to be narrated to people. And cinema, none better than cinema. So that's how the culture of cinema has evolved. Primarily, it could be Marathi cinema, it could be cinema, Telugu cinema, or it could be movie from Malayalam or Kannada, or even Tamil or Telugu. Especially this five regional five language spoken things. Bollywood has more been of entertainment kind of a forum. You know, it's more entertaining people, and the number and of course big money goes into it. But even now, a lot of movies in South are made especially connecting to a lot of social issues.
Oh yes.
Okay. Yeah, and none better forum than cinema to talk about the social issues. Okay. Yes. There was a movie on Kanya. Movie on Kanya Shulkam. It's like, you know, how we put how it's a story called Kanya Shulkam, where, you know, how women have been oppressed and how it was fought. It's a beautiful stories that such like these which have been made in all five different languages, even Bengali cinema for that matter. Okay, it has a lot of subjective depth into it. So of course, when you come to the dance, see, there's in cinematic art form, you can't keep engaged to viewing certain temp of viewing cannot be done more than 30-40 minutes. Okay. So if you go to a normal classroom, a normal classroom will not run more than 30 to 40 minutes. You need a small interval. So song is like an interval break, a mood change. A fight is a mood change. A song is a mood change. A comedy skit is a mood change into people. So it is a scientific thing of putting, because engaging an audience for 2.5 to 3 hours on a skit is not an easy thing. Okay, it is. It's not an easy thing. So it takes a lot to put yourself on the thing. That's the story behind it.
So I think Bahubali is also a Telugu-based story, isn't it?
It is a Telugu-based story. It's a fictional story. It's a fictional story.
Fictional, but it's been a runaway success in so many countries. And now people remember, if they talk to you, they talk to you about Bahubali. Oh, Bahubali country.
Oh, they do. Yes, I had this. I was traveling in 2017. I was traveling to Bangkok. Okay, and this gentleman, I always had this beard and mush running through, and with a long hair that time. And he noticed me and he looked at me. He was in his own sign language, because probably he was trying to say that, you know, he liked my mustache. I said, yeah, thank you. India? Yes, I'm from India. He was saying Indian men, mustache, beard, good. And then say Bahubali. Bahubali.
Yes.
So yeah, so it's like he came, he took a picture, then like they say you're from India, Bahubali, yeah, Bahubali, okay, okay. So
Mm.
when you get to meet a lot of these foreigners nowadays, they acknowledge Indian cinema. That's very nice, very very grateful of it. But yeah, it is a way to like how Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon did for Chinese cinema in 2000, winning the Oscars. Maybe
Mm.
Bahubali has done winning the Oscars.
Oh, yes.
RRR has done winning the Oscars this time in
Mm.
2023. So maybe you'll see an evolution of Indian cinema going globally, spreading
Oh, yes.
our message, our story, our nativity, our language, and we are all contributors.
Mhm.
I see cinema is not just a cinema of a larger canvas, but cinema that are made on YouTube, cinema that are made on apps, cinema that is made on small short cinemas, cinemas which are played, art forms. Everything has a beautiful story to convey. So everything has a beautiful story to tell. Everything has something message to be told to people, and everything has to be acknowledged.
Mhm.
Everything has to be acknowledged, and more talents have to come out. A lot of
Yes.
talents have to come out. A lot of people have to come out. Even for me, it has not been easy. It has never been easy for anybody, for that matter.
Mhm.
So, but again, the passion, you know, takes you ahead. The drive takes you ahead. The very drive that to showcasing something that you have to people takes you ahead. So I'm sure we will do extremely well. The next 20, 30 years, as you can see, is India's era, and the Indians will definitely shine globally for the next. And I wish
Ah,
it goes lifelong.
hey, one more thing. You see,
Sure.
a person who's very well known in the Telugu cinema was RGV,
Right.
Ram Gopal Verma.
Right. Right.
And of late, he is not showing his presence so much.
Right.
Mm. And
Uh, See, everybody has their own time, sir. His own
yes.
time, value of time. See, if Satyajit Ray made movies, he didn't make movies for 30, 40 years. He made movies in some span. Okay.
Mm.
So everybody has their own time. Okay. It's not permanent. No, and nobody
Mhm.
occupies the chair permanently.
For long,
They
yes. Nothing
phase
is permanent.
for long. Even for that matter, I know how long I can survive in this business. There's always, as Warren Buffett says, you must have several eggs in the basket. You don't know what will hatch. Okay,
Mhm.
cinema might do well, might not do well. Your show might do well, might not do well. Okay, but be a little smart in putting your monies in something which will help you eventually survive.
Yeah.
You
But
can, and
by the
yeah,
grace of God, our AB is doing very well. Amitabh
yeah,
Bachchan. He
right,
is
right.
he's a perennial source of inspiration to many people, and his cash reserves are growing every minute. God bless him. God bless him. He
So
deserves it.
one in a billion people. So one in a billion.
Mhm.
One
He
in
too
a
was an
billion. It is
AI.
not.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. He was also on the
He was
radio.
rejected by AIR for his voice.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
imagine.
Mm.
All India Radio rejected him for his voice, and now
Sir,
that
one thing I've probably learned in my life is the more you're rejected,
uh-huh.
the more better you become.
Yes, 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 yes,
The more
yes.
you're bullied,
Uh,
the more you're rejected, the
uh,
more you're deserted, the more
mm,
the stones are thrown at you, the
mm.
bigger the milestones they become. So you should
Mm.
let people do it.
No,
That
I enjoy it. I enjoy it.
hunger keep.
I learn. I learn,
Hmm.
and I do tell them that now, if you're going to do the same thing with me again, I have no objections. But please listen to me. This is what I want.
Right, right.
Request them.
Yeah,
Never, never,
like
never raise.
with when you coming back to Amitabh Bachchan's story, like one of my the name change that happened from Kapil Dev to Kapil Dev has a story in itself. It
Mhm,
is initials and then Kapil Dev was his name. Kapil Dev is something which I gave for my screen name.
mhm,
Screen on the
mhm,
screen it is called DWD.
mhm,
So I had a marital failure uh,
mhm,
during that part of my life, and I was looking at a change and something to better to evolve. And I was looking at a lot of things that I have to unearth of, unlearn of.
Mhm.
So the name change happened then eventually, and somehow you get into a poetic sense that point of life as well, because you've seen several ups and downs,
Mhm.
and you're still running through that thing.
Mhm.
And I made it to understand that from one of those narration of one of the poetries during one of these sessions which I was going through to evolve as a human being was Harivansh Rai Bachchan's poetry from Adhishala.
Mhm.
Would you like to listen to this?
Yes, please, please, please.
Yeah. Uh, लहरों से डरकर लहरों से डरकर नौका पार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती।
Wow,
लहरों
wow.
से डरकर
Uh-huh.
लहरों से डरकर नौका पार नहीं होती,
Uh-huh.
कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती।
Hmm.
नन्ही चीटी जब दाना लेकर चलती है, चढ़ती दीवारों पे 100 बार फिसलती है।
Wow.
नन्ही चीटी जब दाना लेकर चलती है, चढ़ती दीवारों पे 100 बार फिसलती है। मन का विश्वास रगों में साहस बढ़ता है, चढ़कर गिरना गिरकर चढ़ना ना करता है। मेहनत उसकी बेकार हर बार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती।
Yes.
डुबकियां सिंधु में डुबकियां सिंधु में गोताखोर लगाता है, डुबकियां सिंधु में गोताखोर लगाता है। जा जाकर काली हाथ लौट कर आता है, जा जाकर काली हाथ लौट कर आता है। मिलते नहीं सहजी मोती गहरे पानी में, बढ़ता दुगना विश्वास उसे हैराता है। मुट्ठी उसकी काली हर बार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती। जिंदगी एक चुनौती है, जिंदगी एक चुनौती है, उसे स्वीकार करो, संघर्ष का मैदान छोड़ मत भागो तुम। जिंदगी एक चुनौती है, उसे स्वीकार करो, संघर्ष का मैदान छोड़ मत भागो तुम। कुछ किए बिना ही तुम्हारी जय जयकार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती।
Absolutely stunning, amazing, and awesome. It's and you say it so well. You recited it so well. I think it's from memory. You wrote this, or was it written by somebody else?
It was written by Harivansh Rai Bachchan.
Ah,
Harivansh Rai Bachchan,
his
Amitabh
father.
Bachchan's
Yes,
father,
his
his
father.
father.
Yes, yes,
He's
yes.
written this poetry, and it has inspired me, and it has inspired me. Somehow it just wakes me up my slumber, and I keep using it all my speeches and my show. It's something about this poetry that makes you keeps you going.
It inspires you, it fires you, and
Exactly.
it takes you off from your ivory tower that we sit
I
on.
have I remember these situations in my early days of my life, sir. Like I had the problem with myopic disorder, which I had always wearing specs from my fifth grade. Okay,
Okay. Uh-huh.
so I was always bullied in school or around ki chashma pehenta hai. All those days it was like that. People used to wear their spectacles and things. But somehow, even while modeling, I never used to remove my glasses. Even on my show, I have always worn glasses because it's my identity, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't lose my identity. It is something which it's maybe it's God's gift, for me. Why should I feel ashamed about carrying it? I feel I take pride in carrying my glasses. I don't feel ashamed at all. So now it has become a trademark. So I have my mustache, so has my beard. So I was a little afraid about my skin color, South Indian British color, dark brown. Can I make it to the big? But people like the way I am. It is just in your demons are in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Demons are
Yes,
always
yes.
in your head. So
Mm-hmm.
if you only transcend purity from your heart to other people. So looks are always dejective. Okay, makeup, looks, all comes are dejective. If you're
Mm-hmm.
pure from your heart, if you're pure soul, if you have that honesty, integrity, and the passion,
Mm-hmm.
people will always love you, connect with you. I
Absolutely.
have
That's
I have done a show called 100 Women Proners of Hyderabad, world's first live web talk show on Facebook.
mm-hmm.
Okay. And this was shot for about 15 to 20 shows with popular women entrepreneurs of Hyderabad.
Mm-hmm.
And My mother was producing that show. I asked her that, and I want to do something different. She said, okay, go ahead. She's always been a great love and support to me. And I thought I'll just do the show. It was a mobile Samsung A5 I had. I put a stand, bought a stand from it, some market, and started it.
Mm-hmm.
I did that show with a pure intention just to communicate my voice to people. Okay. And women loved it. He just said, okay, I want to be, a lot of who is who of the city wanted to be on my show. I couldn't continue doing the show with several other reasons, but the show is still loved. And recently, some of them have, some of my loved people from Bangalore have said, okay, we'll do something in Bangalore, the same show that you have done. Somebody from Dubai said, okay, we'll do the same thing in Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm trying to communicate is, you don't have to be resourceful. You just, if you have a pure heart, when your heart is poor, when your soul is pure, people will start acknowledging and loving it the way it is to be. And you just have to communicate.
Yes,
Yeah.
communication is the art to rising well in life and maybe becoming. Uh, I mean, the problem is that these uh, tycoons, maybe
Mm.
Mr. Ambani, maybe Mr. Adani, they've not been able to communicate their feelings. They've been very, very careful in counting their pennies and saving them for a rainy day, which has resulted in uh, immense wealth for them. Yes, as far as communication of matters is concerned, they carry it out through others. So, yes, communication is an essential part of life right from the nascent stage. Hello, can you hear me? I think Mr. Kapil Dev has gone off. Hello, hello, Rajiv Bhaiya, Mr. Kapil is not there anymore on the. Hello, hello, Rajiv Bhai. Hi, come, come, come. आ जाओ, आ जाओ. I'm going. हाँ, डस्टी होगा. हाँ हाँ हाँ. तो मैं कीबोर्ड भी गया. हाँ हाँ. इस वाले कीबोर्ड पे काम. ये किया हूँ. I do want to show that I'm going there to the main. कैसा रहा? All is the well? Oil in the well? ये किसका? ये हमारा है? ये हमारा पेंडा? ये पहनने का है. अच्छा, हम सभी टी-शर्ट. पेंडा भाई. हेलो पेंडा भाई. तुमने क्यों ले आया बच्चों के लिए? हैं? तो ये ऐसा करना है, अच्छी चीज आती है ना. तो मैंने वीडियो में नहीं. हम देखा. ये तो हम पहले दो. रात में सो के कैसे करें? हम सभी टी-शर्ट भी लाया. गए थे मॉल क्या? पूरा पहनो ना. मेहमान कोई शर्ट बदले लेते.
अली भाई, अगर
जी जी.
आपको लगता है क्लोज करना चाहिए तो क्लोज कर दीजिएगा.
अब वो कहाँ है भैया? भैया चलेगा कहीं?
आ रहे हैं आप उनको
अच्छा तो हाँ
बुलाइए.
क्लोज कर. हाँ तो मैं विराजमान हूँ. जब तक इशारा नहीं आएगा मैं कैसे जा सकता हूँ कहीं? आपने कहता
आप
हिलिएगा.
रहिए वहीं पे.
है. हिलिएगा नहीं तो मैंने कहा ठीक है, हिलता नहीं हूँ मैं. अभी कहाँ है भाई साहब? ठीक है. कैसा है? अच्छा है. थोड़ा सा हिला दो. नहीं पूरा नहीं, थोड़ा सा अली डेटर. पता करिए तुमने. राजीव भाई कहाँ हैं साहब? किसका है? वीरू को? अब मच्छर नहीं काटेगा इसको। ऊपर से है ना, ये गाड़ी के लिए और ये खाना खा लो। ये तुम गलत आएंगे मत जला वैसे आग निकलता है ना। Mr. Kapila, I believe there was a technical glitch. Hello, can you hear me?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, just
Yeah, he has come back.
Acha, I believe there was
maybe I lost my Wi-Fi network, so I found another network. So it just keeps happening. किसी का नजर लग गया.
another like yeah, it's been such a nice talk show, and I feel that
Good.
कहाँ पे हम लोग कहाँ खो गए, ये कहाँ आ गए हम.
You can
But,
continue, sir. Not a problem. I have my network.
Now
running
it's
through.
yes, it happened because
Yeah.
all of a sudden you used to go still, and I was wondering
Yep.
what was happening.
Oh, fine. Just
And
about 5. Sorry, it was like an interval break, huh?
yeah. No, as we were saying that creativity will and communication are the two means of survival. Besides, food, air, and water.
True.
Because if you communicate properly, you can win the world, and if you
True.
are creative, you can also create a new world for yourself. And I think that's what this whole matter is about. So you put
So
everything.
something, like how we had interruption in between a program. So these are things. When you're chasing something big in life, there'll always be interruptions. Okay, it will never be a smooth thing, to be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, like in my introduction, I shared about my experience doing with IPL, which is now a huge brand.
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I was contracting with IPL when I was only 24, 25. Okay.
My
So
God.
and I had the magnanimity. I had experience of sharing my experience with topmost cricketers when I was very young. Okay, I also wanted to be one, and eventually I had the opportunity to meet several of those people. And हर किसी से कुछ ना कुछ सीखने को मिलता है.
हाँ बिल्कुल.
जैसे मैंने अपने पिताजी से बहुत चीज सीखा है, मेरे माताजी से बहुत चीज सीखा है. The more people you meet, everybody have somewhere or the other to contribute to your life. Okay, there's some contribution coming from them to your life. Okay, so in that way, I've been very fortunate that I could meet so many people. So many people. मेरे ख्याल से मैं कम से कम मेरे लाइफ में 1 लाख 2 लाख लोगों से मिल चुका हूँ. I love meeting people. I love interacting. One personally, must have met at least 1 lakh to 2 lakh people. God knows the number. My dad is 10 times more, being a person that he is. He has had 10 lakh people interaction so far. He has treated about over 6 to 7 lakh people as a doctor himself. So every person will able to have some light into your life. मेरे मुश्किल वक्त में मैंने एक जो हॉकर होते हैं, रोड के हॉकर, तो उनसे भी काफी चीज सीखा कि उनका सिस्टम कैसे चलता है, कि हाउ दे प्रिपेयर देयर डे, फाइटिंग इट ऑल इन द सन टू सेल सम प्रोडक्ट्स. ओके, तो ऑलवेज बी ओपन फॉर लर्निंग एंड ऑलवेज. एंड मेरे दिमाग में कभी बैगेज नहीं लगा था कि मैं डॉक्टर का बेटा हूँ, मैं ये काम नहीं करना है, मुझे ये नहीं करना है. यार, सिचुएशन तुमको लाइफ में काफी चीज सिखाता है, उससे सीखना पड़ता है. एंड यू शुड. लॉट ऑफ पीपल कम विद अ बैगेज कि मैं बड़े बाप का बेटा हूँ, मैं ये काम नहीं करूंगा, वो काम नहीं करूंगा, ऐसे नहीं करूंगा. अरे यार, कुछ नहीं होता है लाइफ में. यू हैव टू बी वेरी प्रैक्टिकल. For you to survive, you to have food on the table, you have to pay your bills, pay your rent, pay your expenses. नाम थोड़ी देगा ये सब चीज. आपको मेहनत करना पड़ता है, फील्ड में जाके काम करना पड़ता है. और तब ये बैगेज के चक्कर में लोग खो जाते हैं. That's why they got into several of these depression points. की there's absolutely nothing. राजा का बेटा को भी मैदान पे उतर पे काम करना पड़ता है. If you have to win a battle, you must be on the ground. You can't be sitting in a chamber and telling that
you can't.
So life is a battle. You have to be on the ground, my dear. You can't be in the AC's chambers telling, okay, my dad did this, my father, my grandfather was like this, my great-grandfather. Like, come on, man. The world is an ocean. World is an opportunity. जितना तुम मेहनत करोगे, काम करोगे, उतना आगे जाओगे. मेरे लाइफ में ये चीज सीखा कि never say never, never say die. We are born alone, you'll die alone. बाकी का जो भी है खेल है, संसार का खेल है. ओके, ये सर्वाइवल का खेल है. किसी को पैदा होते हैं, किसी के बाप होता है, किसी का बेटी होता है, किसी की सिस्टर होती है. ऑल दीज थिंग्स आर देयर, बट ऑल दीज यू हैव टू डू अ रोल, अ प्रॉपर रोल इन लाइफ. एंड द बेस्ट ऑफ द रोल, यू मस्ट नॉट रिग्रेट कि बुढ़ापे पे ये काम नहीं किया मैंने. So as an actor, I fulfill everything. मैंने रोड के ऊपर चीजों भेजी है, ट्रेन में भेजी है, मॉल में भेजी है चीज. ओके, चाय से जी लिया एक दिन पूरा, एक दिन पानी खा के जी लिया, एक दिन बिना कुछ खाते ही जी लिया. तो आई कैन टेल सो मेनी स्टोरीज इन माई लाइफ कि मैंने ये सब चीज किया है. And that's the beauty of life. That is a path you pay. The very essence of the topic is you're paving a path for what? Your story, like the beautiful experience that we talked about All India Radio, which is nostalgic. Everything is a path. Maybe in a future generation will learn something from that. It will have an application to them. So for me, every day is a learning, sir. Every day I even learn from my maid. I learn from my driver. I learn from my whole team, my staff team. I take a lot of inputs from every person. Every person, and I'm always a learner. And when you're a learner, when you're a seeker, you are a destiny. You're a destiny's child. Why your destiny's child? Destiny is what? Destiny is about learning and seeking and growing and glowing. So I am blessed. I'm a blessed soul. That way I'm a blessed soul. I will never stop. And a lot of people compliment me that, how can you stay so humble with everything that you got in life that you have. There's no other option, my dear.
नहीं, there's no other option, but वो जो भी आता है, it's for distribution.
Yes, sir. Yes. And
So
and I believe in this saying. I think it's from the Gita. It's like, भगवान किसी को अमीर बनाता है, किसी को गरीब बनाता है, किसी को ज्ञानी बनाता है, किसी को अज्ञानी बनाता है, किसी को राजा बनाता है, जिसको छपरी बनाता है. इसका मतलब नहीं है कि तुम उसके ऊपर गुस्सा हो, ऊपर वाले के. राजा इसलिए बना है क्योंकि उसको मालूम है कि आपके साथ कौन सा काम करवाना है. वो विद्या उसके पास है. He has got the knowledge to make governance. छपरी को राजा बनाया तो उसको ज्ञान नहीं, वो चीज नहीं पता होगा कि वो राज कैसे चलाए. यू अंडरस्टैंड? तो एक विद्वान आदमी या विज्ञान आदमी को ज्ञान देगा क्यों? टू स्प्रेड द नॉलेज टू पीपल. It is not for him to put in his head and use it for himself. He's been given that knowledge only to share to people. Wealth is given to a person only to be shared to people, because he knows the way to make the wealth. He knows the way to एक डॉक्टर के लाखों में एक ही डॉक्टर क्यों बनता है? Why not all 1 lakh people become a doctor? Because डॉक्टर को ही मालूम है कि आपका हेल्थ कैसे ठीक करे. सब लोग को नहीं मालूम होता है ना. You understand? So you have to play your role well, sir. You have to play your role well. Every person has a professional role to play, and every person has an equivalent place in the society, equivalent place in that ecosystem. If today I am like this, maybe there's something that I have to give to people, which is why I'm like this. Today I'm sharing my knowledge. Some person might get inspired with my knowledge and take it forward. So that way I take everything as a blessing. Nothing is a curse for me.
No.
Nothing is never. God will give everything at the right time. And when you take it as a blessing, it is a blessing. When you take it as a curse, you become a remorse. तो तभी वो डिप्रेशन होता है, एंगर होता है, एंग्जाइटी होता है, लड़ाई झगड़ा होता है. वो टाइम की all these frustrations come from God. Accept what it is given to you. And you.
Ali Bhai, can we close the session,
Okay.
please?
Now, Kapilji, thank you so much. You've been so
Thank you.
Fascinating, enlightening, and cooperative in your sharing knowledge. And I mean, this may have ended, but we have to begin something new.
Thank you.
If Rajiv Bhaiya has time, he will definitely give us another occasion in which we would like to hear your stories on life and on the people whom you've been associated with.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much for
thank you
gracing this occasion and being a part of Zena. So
thank you.
Thank you so much, and wish you all a very good night. Yes,
thank you. In my language of the sweetest language, the Italian of the East, Telugu. Andarki namaskaram. ఈ షో చూసినందుకు, మా షో వీక్షించినందుకు కార్తీక మాస శుభాకాంక్షలు, అందరికీ దీపావళి శుభాకాంక్షలు తెలియజేస్తూ, రాజీవ్ గారికి, అలాగే అలీ గారికి, అలాగే జేనా ఫ్యామిలీ అందరికీ కూడా ధన్యవాదాలు తెలియజేస్తూ, ధన్యవాద్, నమస్కార్, థ్యాంక్ యూ, శుభరాత్రి, షబాకేర్, చావ్, సీ యూ, సెన్యానా. Adios, amigos.
Adios, ciao. Rajiv Bhai, is it okay? Shall we?
Yeah, kindly leave the meeting, please.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. I will have to press that button. Where do I leave the meeting? Okay, bye-bye.